welcome to the 9th episode of 30 Something and Verging. I am your host, Akila Miles, and I'm so excited to be here with you. We have now recorded 8 successful episodes, and now we're on our 9th episode. After episode 10, we are going to go on a little bit of a hiatus. Gonna take a break. March, y'all know it's spring break, and most of y'all getting that tax money now anyway. So you'll be going on a couple of trips, and on those trips, I would like for you to really tune in and listen to my first 10 episodes for season 1, and then we're gonna come back with season 2. I'm thinking that each season we'll have 10 episodes. We're really working really hard to get picked up. So today, on my 9th episode, I would like to talk to you all about relationships, the ebbs and flows of relationships, what we want, what we need, who we are in relationships, what relationships add to us. And I want to do this with a couple of call-in people. So earlier today, I made a post on both my 30 Something and Verging site, Facebook page. If you have not liked that page, please go and do so. Also go on YouTube and subscribe. Also go to akilamiles.com and subscribe. And I made a post on my regular Facebook page asking people to be a part of this. I got a couple of bites, and I'm going to call some of those people who want to be involved. I have a couple of friends and myself personally, like we're dealing with like different stuff. Like we're faced with different issues in relationships. And I have a couple of friends, not a couple of friends. I have one particular friend. She's dealing in a relationship where she doesn't necessarily feel valued. And I want to talk about what it means for a man to value you and why is that so important. Not to say that it's not important and not to say there's something wrong with it. I'm not saying that, but I want us to understand like the value of being not the value, but the magnitude of being valued by your significant other or your spouse, what that means. And then I just want to talk about like relationships, and I want to talk to some men. So I'm going to hear from a couple of men. All right. So I'm getting ready, podcast world, to call one of my older cousins, Nina. And we're going to just get her to chime in on what she thinks should happen inside of relationships and how they should work. I'm going to talk to the fellas about a couple of like things that like shitty things that I feel that have happened to me with males. Trying to get an understanding of that. We're going to be like an open book today.
Hello.
Hey, Nina. How are you?
Hey, cousin.
I just told everybody I'm calling my older cousin so she could give us some relationship advice. She's out in the windy city of Chicago, Illinois.
Everybody else on the phone too?
No, so it's
okay.
I can only have one person on at a time. So you are. I actually, the reason it took me a little bit longer to call you back was because a friend called in first while I was recording. So I just answered the phone and would talk to her for a few minutes. But she's gonna call me back in about 10 minutes, and it should take us about that long to just talk briefly about a successful relationship. What do you feel that looks like?
Now, what in terms of success, how do you define that? Because there's no perfect relationship.
Facts. No, I'm not. So in my head, I don't think that a successful relationship is something that is perfect, but I do feel that it is a relationship where both partners are thriving. Both of their needs are, for the most part, being met, and they are building a future together. These are two people that are working together cohesively to make whatever they want in the world happen, be it for their kids or for themselves. That's what I believe a successful relationship is, including all of the ups and the downs. Right.
And yeah, so then in terms of success, then that's just like you said, it's just two people working together. Despite whatever differences or obstacles that may come up, you then made a commitment to just work it out.
So
and now, are you just talking relationship? Are you talking marriage?
It can be marriage. It can be like a just dating. It can even be friendships.
Right.
Siblings. all relationships, like I feel like in any ship, because this is what I call them, they like all ships. Sometimes they sail, sometimes they sink. You know, you never know what it's going to be. I just think like in all of them, I feel like key things are communication and complete utter honesty. Like
absolutely,
being willing to show every flaw. Oh, I don't like the fact that I'm a little chunky right now, and you're gonna have to deal with that. I might have a shitty day and might have an attitude because I didn't like how my outfit fit me that day. But you should, as my man, encourage me and be like, baby, you look beautiful regardless of what you say. But you don't always have that in relationships.
I was just gonna say, now your relationship could still be good, and you may not have the type of spouse or partner that offers compliments all the time. You know, because it really depends on the person. And when you're learning each other, you learn that about the person. They may not give this compliment, but then it may be something else that they may do that slightly, you know what I'm saying, that shows you like, hey, I like this, I like you just how you are. So it ain't necessarily gotta be verbal.
Okay. What are some things you feel like that are like no bueno? Like, if I don't get this in a relationship, I got to go. Like, there's no chance possible. I got to go.
Well, that's something that you have to decide prior to the relationship. You have to set your standards and your boundaries in the beginning, and then as you go along, you can't. Well, you're gonna come up with other things once you learn each other. There's gonna be other things that you may want to throw in, but at some point, the person, the individual, and let's just say the woman, going into a relationship, if you're gonna have boundaries and standards for yourself, you have to set them, and it has nothing to do with the other person, but only you know what you're gonna allow and what you're not gonna allow. And so but you have to be strong enough at the first sign of something that you don't like. You have to be like, oh, okay, well, I can't deal with this. I'm gonna walk away.
Okay, so as someone like in a relationship, so I know, like, for me, one of my biggest pet peeves in a relationship, and I tell people up front, I remember when I first started dating back when I was like 19, I remember telling the guy, like, look, I've seen people be abused. I don't do abuse, and I would love for you to be honest with me. That was like that was me. That was Akila at 19. Exactly. Those were my boundaries. Yep. Like, you're not going to put your hands on me, and you're not, like, I would prefer if you were open and honest about whatever it is you have going on.
Right. Now, in that sense, that's a no-brainer. That's like, okay, but then you have to also think, so just as fast as I said, you set your boundaries and your standards, and then something happens that you said no to, you know what I'm saying? Then it's like, okay, so do I leave, do I stay? You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately for some people, in terms of like abuse and things like that, definitely nobody wants that. But then what about the women that do stay? And so those are the women that you'd be like, okay, so what happened to make you say, okay, I'm going to give him another chance?
No, so I've talked to different people who have talked about, like, well, you know, like, that he did that out of rage, or I provoked him, or I was used to this. I saw this in my home growing up. And I think that that ties back to how confident you are in yourself. And like thinking about, like, 'cause I'm not gonna lie, I asked the person not to lie to me, and goddamn it, everything came out their motherfucking mouth. Damn near was a lie. It was like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, but it's okay. We were 19. I was asking him to be an adult, and that wasn't what he could be at that particular time. I was asking him to be like a fully developed man, and we were kids. And there are some relationships where you meet them and they like, so I feel like Kobe Bryant and Vanessa's love story is just that, right? Like, they had their little tiff or whatever. And they were able to work through that. I'm not saying that people can't work through their problems, but like, I know that we all know, like, certain things that we're like, oh, that's a no bueno. Like, I'm not going to deal with that. Right. And there are certain things that cause us to we may deal with those things, because we broke up, and may have got back together, may have broke up again, may have got back together.
Right. That's when the communication, that's one, learning each other, and then the communication has to happen, or should have already been happening. Because sometimes now, people can act out of, you know, sometimes you don't know how to, you should learn people and know where they come from.
Yeah.
You should know something about their childhood. You know what I'm saying? People, when you got abusers and things like that, a lot of that ain't got nothing to do with the person. It's everything to do with maybe how they were raised, and what type of home environment they come from, things like that. So people, let's just say people can make mistakes, but you have to be open to talk about it and see what those mistakes are and find out what triggered this for that person. Yeah. And as long as they're open and willing to get help, then maybe that will be something that you can say your relationship for.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that's why I was recently talking to a couple of friends, and we were talking about like the biggest relationships we had in our lives and what caused the demise of them. And I said that neither one of us were at a spot where we could be honest with each other, flaws and all. And it was because we wanted to be these particular people to each other, right? Like we either created like this particular facade for the other person, or we assumed the other person was this way, and we just could not, like, was like, oh, I don't want her to know that this is my flaw. Oh, I don't want him to know that. And I like, for me, that's a non-negotiable. The next person that I date, you're going to know that I like to sit in the house majority of the time. I'm adventurous. I'll go out, but most nights you're going to find out that I'm at home watching Gotham on Netflix. That's what I like to do. But I'm going to do certain things to ensure that you have a good time. So if you're the adventurous one and you like to take an adventure, please trust that I'm going to go with you and do that. But I'm a homebody. That's what I like. That's what I like to do. I like to cook. I like to do different stuff where we are out and about. So when I'm with someone, right? But I think that, like, in any relationship, the openness of communication and the willingness to be who you are, the willingness to be, as I told my friends, I want him to be able to be not literally naked in front of me, but naked, whoever he is, whatever he is, whatever issues. Yes, completely. And I'm going to do the same thing. But I think you have to walk into the relationship saying like, hey, like, you know, like you said, like getting to know each other, dating for a little while, and saying like, okay, like I can, not that I'm peeling off a layer, but now I can let you see this scar. And now I can show you this scar.
And it's safe to do so. Yes. That's the important part. Yes. Knowing that it's safe to be authentic, be who you are, without judgment. And you know what I'm saying? That leads to a successful relationship, because when you have a partner that you know, no matter what, you can go to them and talk to them and tell them whatever, and what y'all talk about stays between y'all, and then they allow you to be your original self. You know what I'm saying? That's very, very important.
Yeah, we got to be,
because
really,
no matter what you're doing in life, even when you have like preachers and first ladies and, you know, all these kind of things, and me being married to a preacher, it was like I had to remember that, okay, when we're out in the public, that's about church. You know what I'm saying? And we have to be, you have to put on this different hat. Yes. But then when you come home, you still don't have to be in this preacher mode. You can be your authentic self. Yes. Because now we're one-on-one, and there's no judgment.
Okay, cool. Well, is there anything you want to add? Like any advice you want to give the podcast world about relationships? Like one piece of advice that you feel is like the best piece of advice for them?
I just think that if you're serious and you really want your relationship to work, you have to be open and be willing to love, and just, you know, listen too. You know, you have to listen, And you have to just keep the lines of communication open. And as long as you keep the lines of communication open, you shouldn't go wrong. But even when you have communication, when you open the lines of communication, you have to be willing to accept whatever you hear.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you may hear, you're not going to always like. But then that's when the work starts.
Facts. Like, it's continual work. Like, it is continual work.
Yes.
If you want it to be successful. Well, thank you so much, Nina, for chiming in. I'm so happy you got on there and you were like, I'll chime in. So y'all, my cousin is in Chicago, and does it say Diva Lash? What is your business name?
Diva Lashes by Nina.
Oh, I was right. Diva Lashes by Nina. And so you sell lashes and you go and you put them on, right?
Yeah, I put on the individual lashes.
All right, so she does individual lashes and she sells them. She's in Chicago, Illinois. If you happen to be in the Chicago, Illinois area, please look her up. She also comes to you and put those on you. So
absolutely,
please look her up.
Cousin.
No problem. Thank you so much, and you have a blessed night, okay?
You as well. Love you.
All right, love you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, that was an awesome conversation. Now I'm going to click and I'm going to call another person that I'm going to talk to, and they're going to give us some great information. We're going to talk to a man. I want to know what they feel. What is it in their spirits? This is one of my favorite